So hi everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for joining us this morning. Yeah, we thought we'd start with a quick introduction to
Yeah,
ourselves. I'm Kay, and I've been the CMO of Newspaper Club since September, so that's nearly a year. But Newspaper Club and I go way back. I was freelance a few years ago, and they were one of my clients, like way back in 2017. I've got this kind of enduring love of what Newspaper Club does, but also for print, and I run a Glasgow Print Fair, which is one of kind of our biggest celebrations of print in Scotland. So that's
yeah, it's
me.
really cool.
That's me.
And I'm Ewan. I've been working at D8 since 2011, and I started working with Youth Super Club back in 2014, back when I was a kind of junior going on midweight designer, and we're still working together now, which is really exciting. It's been like a long time of doing lots of really cool work. And these days I'm a design director at D8. I do a lot of stuff for Youth Super Club still, and people like the Beeb and Spotify. And I also like to try and crowbar illustration to any job I can. So whether it's mascots or patterns or like hand-drawn type. If I can get it in there, I'll try my best to do that. So hopefully show some of that today.
Yeah. So, what is Newspaper Club? Some of you might not know who we are. We're an on-demand newspaper printing business. It's designed to help everyone get their newspaper into print quickly and easily. It started out with an idea between friends. They wanted to print the blog posts and tweets written by their own friends into a newspaper. And as they were going through that process, they just realised how difficult it was to actually make your own newspaper. Newspaper printers weren't really interested in something that was going to be a one-off copy. So when they actually managed to print this, it was a lot of back and forth, and it was just really difficult to find anyone to do it. And they just kind of got this glimmer of an idea for their business. And then when their friends all received their lovely newspapers, they were just all really excited about it. And since then, we've grown. We won a Design of the Year award, and all of this really inspired our mission just to keep making it easier. Today, we ship newspapers all over the world, and we're really, really proud to support a new community of publishers making amazing newspapers for all kinds of purposes. We print three sizes, well, for now. Um, we have the mini, the tabloid, and the broadsheet. Each of them have sort of different uses and kind of things that we see people using them for. The broadsheet really, really is a large medium to make a big statement. And then the tabloid is kind of about 16 page, sorry, that's the mini, 16 pages, I keep doing that. The tabloid is a really kind of gives you more space to tell your story, and then the mini is like a much smaller thing that you can kind of take away with you from events and things. We have two different types of printing. We have three printers in total, Betty and Brenda for your digital printing for orders that are up for one copy up to 1,000, and our huge traditional printing press, which is sadly as yet unnamed, for orders that are printing over 300 copies. Now, that traditional press is exactly kind of how you'd imagine a newspaper printing press that you see in the films, like it's all leaking around the ceiling and it just looks great. It's just a really exciting room to be in, and seeing all these newspapers flying off the press. Um, and it's always one of my favorite things about Newspaper Club is that every single day is different. We see so many different things getting printed from magazines and catalogues for small businesses like Cubits or the Modern House. In the middle there, that's Scarlett Johansson with the newspaper we printed for her skincare brand, The Outset. We also print fashion lookbooks. We've printed in the last year for Stella McCartney, Fred Perry, Paul Smith. We also do type specimens for type foundries, student work for degree shows, promos and portfolios like this one for Super Mundane. Um, we work with a lot of photographers, event programs. Really, you think, can I print it? Yes, you can print it in a newspaper. We also do some really cool prop newspapers for photo shoots, like one we did for Pitchfork with the 1975, and really so much more from wedding invitations, wrapping paper, posters. We've even printed 100th birthday gift. So really, it's if you can think of it, we'll print it. One of the really special things again about Newspaper Club is that we're actually a really small team. We've been around for over 15 years. The team, and while the customers have grown and where have our business has grown, there's actually really only about 9 of us that work in the team and around 10 people that work at our printing press. And the customer service team, who are pictured here, are our absolute backbone of our business. They are all art school graduates. They have a really keen eye for detail. So alongside our kind of standardized PDF checker, they also check your design, make sure it looks good, and they all really, really care about what it is that you're making. We want it to be as good as it possibly can be. So we work really closely with our customers to make sure they're happy with their newspapers, and we love to celebrate them in everything that we do. I'm going to hand it over to you, Ewan.
Yeah, I'll give a wee intro to D8. So, type of who we are. So, D8 was founded in Glasgow back in 1999. I've only been there for about half of the time, so not that old yet, but I'm getting there. And we're still proudly independent, which is pretty cool. Next one, quick
Sorry.
one. Spoilers. Yeah, so now we're a team of 70 plus, I think almost 80 actually. And we're spread between still the original place in Glasgow. We've got a team over in Amsterdam now and also a kind of growing team in Gold Coast and Australia. And what makes us different from a lot of other agencies is we're like kind of full service and multidisciplinary in the kind of true sense. So there's myself, like a graphic designer, but there's illustrators, digital designers, motion designers, kind of filmmakers, producers, developers, copywriters, people who do 3D, kind of no matter what gets thrown at us, we've probably got someone in-house that has a kind of expertise or niche in that. So it means we're not that we never work with freelancers, but quite often we kind of keep the team in-house and we build bespoke teams for every project and we can bring people in as we need them and be really nimble and keep pushing things forward. And our latest push forward is we now have a type foundry, ABCD8, which I need to mention or my boss will give me trouble. I think he's not watching today, but he'll be watching it back later. So we've recently done typefaces for Canal Plus in France for their motorsport coverage. Some whiskies here. NPO, the kind of basically the BBC of the Netherlands, and Walker Shortbread. And there's maybe more funds to come.
So we thought we'd talk a little bit about our work together over the years and how from development of our mascot, from the fonts that we use, and so we sort of thought we'd start there. But we thought we'd kind of talk a little bit about how that relationship came about. So Anne, our CEO, was looking for a design partner around 10 years ago. So we've really worked together for a long time. And at that time, we were looking to help push the brand forward. We were ideally looking for a studio based in Scotland, even better, one in Glasgow. And we wanted someone who worked with creative people, creative companies, and really kind of understood our audience as well as what we were trying to achieve. We also were looking for someone that had experience using illustration in their design work. And so we were really lucky to find someone that was extremely close. We were based at the time just near the Clyde at South Block and D8. We're just like about what does it look like, 12 blocks away?
Yeah, it's pretty close. It
And
was 15 minutes, I'm
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, emails were exchanged, a brief was drawn up, and we began working together and haven't really stopped since. And we've even moved closer to each other. We're now like
Yeah.
2 blocks away from one another. So it's an enduring friendship and
Yeah.
relationship from there.
I think it's cool to have that now because especially a lot of our work now is done, and it's cool after like post-pandemic, as everyone talks about.
Yeah,
You can get a lot of work from different places now, and you can meet over Zoom, but it's still really exciting and cool to just like walk 2 blocks and like have and chat and
yeah,
work out projects together. I think that's kind of probably why we're still working together this long
I
because
think so. Yeah, there's a lot of energy that comes from that, and
yeah,
being able to just kind of throw ideas around. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we work together because I think that's really interesting because I don't think, well, I'll explain.
yeah.
Is-
So yeah, we'll start at the start. The initial brief was to look at kind of to refresh the brand and look at a new mascot, a new logotype for Newspaper Club. They kind of felt like that kind of black letter style where while it's like kind of this is newspapers, it felt like a wee bit kind of throwback and nostalgic and they wanted to be kind of more forward looking
yeah,
and feel more contemporary. So, and I had a wee bit of hesitation because I had to be quite a wee bit of an affection for this wee guy. I think he was called the
The
Dude.
other dude, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd used Newspaper Club a couple of times when I was a student. Like I did my dissertation on like self-publishing and zines and manifestos. So I got it printed as a newspaper, so because it felt appropriate. So I was already kind of affectionate to the wee guy, but and I had the job of like replacing him, which was quite challenging. But the whole point was they wanted to kind of create something that was a wee bit less busy, so we worked with like small sizes, get rid of those kind of chunky black outlines, use a kind of brighter, kind of more CMYK inspired color palette to really show off the kind of vibrancy of newsprint, especially with the kind of digital print they've got, and just kind of trying to create like a really better first impression. And then also, yeah, he had a bad attitude. He had a thumbs down, which I don't know if it was intentional, but
Don't think it was. I don't even think anyone noticed that it was
yeah.
there.
I think I only noticed it last week and I was pulling the stickers out.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so my sketchbook is like long gone. I've moved flat 3 times since then, but I did manage to dig up on our servers like old mood boards and research, and this is probably the start of what was. I mean, it's not like totally different, but compared to a lot of projects, working with New Super Club is different in the sense that they came to us with much more of an idea of what they wanted. So it wasn't a case of us having to present 2 or 3 different about the different routes of which we go. They had this mood board already, so I think it was Anne who might be on the call, Snoop Bananas.
We see you, Anne.
She helped pull this together where like there's lots of kind of mid-century style illustration and like mascots like Mr. Minute and
Yeah,
just to give you a real sense of like the kind of look that we're going for. And the general vibe was kind of like, well, I guess it's like kind of welcome and friendly mascot that was kind of a bit more appealing than the old dude.
yeah. Something a bit warmer, a bit more personality to him as well.
Yeah. And hopefully something is out to have the ability where you could like change what you're doing depending on
Yeah.
like different scenarios.
Yeah, having flexibility in it, I think has been when you see where we got to, you can see how many different ways he's been used since we've developed that. But yeah, I think also that it's definitely how we still work. We've taken that kind of idea forward that we still come with really strong ideas of what we want, and then we work together to kind of make them a real thing and a thing
Yeah.
that's actually possible. So it's like it's quite good.
That's cool because like a lot of clients, you'll work with them and they'll come to like, we need something but we don't know what it is. And like they just want to do something, what like they just want to do whatever's next for them. Whereas Newspaper Club always seem to, we want to do this and they have a real good idea of what it is, and it's just
Yeah.
we kind of extensive of each other's team.
Hmm. So then we'll go on. We'll show you some
And yes, this
videos.
is one of the earliest concepts because one of the first things we explored was like moving away from, maybe we could move away from being a newspaper boy and instead have a wee ink droplet as a mascot to kind of play on the idea of print. And the idea was like kind of playing off the idea of like the CMYK process and overlaying colors. So his wee rosy cheeks are like magenta overlaid on the yellow, and you would show that for the multiply effect to kind of give a wee hint towards the print. And also kind of moving away from like lots of black outlines and everything, so everything would reduce much down much better and be more vibrant. But after we kind of tried this out, it just felt like, yeah, maybe this is like a jump too far away from the dude. Maybe it really
Mm.
should be more of a paper boy. And also maybe it looks a bit like a splash of wee.
That's too funny. I didn't even notice that.
I didn't notice it until I was showing some of my colleagues like a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, why have you got a wee guy? It was like a wee bit of wee. And
Oh,
I was
it's
like,
so. Anyway, moving on.
anyway, yeah. So then again, I think it's probably more of Anne. Like Anne kind of brought back some more mood boards of like, yeah, let's go back to Paperboy. And at the time, that felt like it was going to be quite kind of vintagey. So like it's got like the kind of the flat cap way before Peaky Blinders got it, and things like the big news guy in the top right.
Yeah, move that over, sorry. Oh.
Well, yeah. So then these are some more kind of developments of that. So we went back to Paperboy. And at first we kind of tried to maintain that kind of lots of overlaid, overprinted colors, like that one on the left there, but
Mm.
started to get kind of really messy when especially things like the hands over the outlines was like maybe this is going to go back to that same problem when you reduce them down to be really small. It's going to be messy again. And then so then we moved away from that on the right, started to kind of bring in more block color stuff.
Mm.
And then he also started to feel like maybe and he started to change outfits. So he could like be the office Russell, it could be like Paperboy Russell, it could be Santa Claus Russell. But especially that core Russell was maybe feeling like it's still a wee bit too throwback, it's too nostalgic, it's too vintage, it's not kind of contemporary enough.
Mhm.
So what we did was like kind of took that kind of core idea of Russell on the left there and but brought in those kind of CMYK poppy colours of the ink droplet guy. And that's kind of how we ended up with the Russell we have today. And he's kind of stuck around ever since.
Yeah, we love Russell.
It's a long paper round. And yeah, once we finally cracked the look of him, it was just like time to like put him in different scenarios.
Yeah.
So he would like work at the news agent, he would go on holiday, he would read newspapers, he would help you measure up for your specs on the right hand side there. He'd be Santa, like we said before. He could ride a bike, he could do anything.
Yeah. It's great. We still use the majority of these illustrations today. There's some that we kind of forget that we've got and we go, oh yes, we can use that again. But it's so flexible. I think that's something that didn't expect to have from a mascot, even only in the short time that I've been here. It's just like we've always found some interesting new way to use him, whether it's like his hands coming into a shot or
Yeah.
whether it's like, and you can see as we go through this talk kind of how that's developed over the years as well.
I mean, yeah, like we said before, alongside the mascot, we also had to look at the logotype, or we kind of refer to it as a masthead because that's what you get in a newspaper. So a lot of the references were shared with like things like The Guardian and Independent, and they wanted something that felt like a today newspaper rather than
Hmm.
a kind of
Hmm.
1920s newspaper. And we did lots of tests of different typography to kind of work out where we're going. One of the earlier tests we did was playing with this idea of like maybe like a kind of contrasting, condensed, and extended type. So we could do like club would be the same with his newspaper and feel kind of even uneven instead, and we could do like stacked and landscape versions of it. But I just felt like this doesn't feel like a masthead anymore. But maybe this feels like a nice kind of play off of like headline typography newspaper. So that
Hmm.
kind of didn't become the logo, but ended up becoming our kind of headline type style.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we use a lot. Again, it's kind of almost quite core to our brand feel now. Is this chunky, variable font
Yeah, it's
things
just
become quite important
it's like
too.
a fun way to just it does the same job as like a headline like grabbing people's attention,
Mm,
but it's a lot more playful and
yeah,
you can really put emphasis on certain words that you want and just create a nice kind of kinetic energy to the type.
yeah, that's it exactly. It's got movement without needing movement.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And this is where we ended up. So we ended up something much more contemporary than the old kind of black letter style, but still feeling kind of like undeniably like newspaper. And Russell sits at the center. And it's again, stood the test of time, still here 10 years later.
Yep. Oops.
There we go.
Yep, that was my input to that.
Okay.
Yep. Um, yeah, so then it was kind of taking that all of those things next into our samples.
Yeah.
Um,
So this is going to be overview of what the samples would look like before we were involved. So before Dee got involved, sorry. So this is the sample pack that I would have ordered back in about 2009, 2010 when I was doing my dissertation. And they were good. They were very functional. They told you all the kind of technical information you needed. They showed you what colors looked like and what images looked like on the paper stock. But they weren't like very playful and didn't really do much for the brand. So our first job was to kind of reimagine those samples with Russell and the new logo type and new type style. And you kind of see as soon as you bring Russell into the equation, it kind of brings in like so much more personality.
yeah, yeah, it does. And just bright is like the colours as well just really jump out and that CMYK thing, something that we still carry through everything,
Yeah.
like taking it back to those kind of core colours. Um,
I think one of the big ideas behind it was we wanted to really show off how vibrant
yeah,
newsprint could be because there was that kind of when you hear newspaper or newsprint, you imagine like kind of muted dull colors, and we wanted to show like it can be really bright, really poppy.
yeah.
And then you can see here, so they were designed kind of with a kind of, you could order one at a time, but we kind of imagine them coming as a set. So if you ordered like the traditional one, that's the one on the left, or the digital one on the right, you would get like a set that you stack together. It's basically trying to like goad people into like take photos of these and share them with people. And it was just really designed to kind of feel like a kind of burst of excitement and energy for potential customers. So the colors were kind of like say deliberately bright and poppy to against that kind of expectation in newsprint. And then alongside like the new logo mascot and the new type we started to bring in kind of like hand annotations. You can kind of see there in the middle there, we'd kind of like have like that's actually newspaper club's own handwriting. It's not
Yeah.
Anne, I can't remember what staff member, it's one of the
It's
staff
still, yeah,
members.
one of our customer service team's handwriting. And so we use that, still in our print, but also on email and on our blog. And it's just a way to kind of call out interesting things. You'll even see it in this presentation. Some of it might not be so his
Yeah.
handwriting.
But it's just a nice way to add a wee bit of like kind of a personal touch to the
Yeah,
brand. And it's like this is like kind of a small company that kind of really cares about what they do. So we want to kind of make it feel like you're getting something personal.
yeah. And I think that's something that's important to us as well. That at every stage, people remember that we are people behind it, and we all really care about kind of keeping this. Um, Newspaper printing industry kind of alive in a
Yeah,
sense of keeping hold of a traditional printmaking methods and kind of being like like caretakers of it in a way. I don't know, that's a funny way to
that
put
makes
it.
sense.
But and it's like, we're here, we care, and yeah, and I think it's nice to have these little elements come through, and the fact that it's members of the team that have created some of the work that then goes on and they're still with us 15 years on as well.
Yeah,
It's quite
it's
a lot.
cool. But yeah, so then after that it was like a long time of working out the next bit by bit as we kind of went along. So this kind of how we built the brand. So like kind of following on from the print samples, we work on like different expressions in advance. So we'd do like business cards and stationery and then be bits of swag that you give away at events or like put in with people's orders to kind of help kind of make them feel excited about being part of the new super club.
And it feels like every time we touch any element of the brand, it pushes it further. So anytime, we were used, so for instance, you can see here like the business cards, you can see everything at work there. You've got Russell, you've got that font, you've got, the big use of the exclamation mark. It's all these sorts of things that like we weren't using initially, but you've
Yeah, it
then
kind of came
used
in bit by
it.
bit, yeah. Even like the back of the business card was kind of intended to look a bit like a classified ad in a
Hmm.
paper. And that was something that wasn't there at the start, but it was like, oh, now we're doing this, now this is what should do for this kind of format.
Hmm. I think that's what makes it so exciting. It feels like there's never not an opportunity to push the brand further. It's like we
Yeah.
never just want to be the same. We're always trying to move. And you can see that with the work that you did
Yeah, so
for
like
this.
after all that, we do things like design, exhibition, or like yeah, exhibition stands for things like Offset in Dublin, which is
Sadly
sadly
finished.
gone, but hopefully get to pop up somewhere else
Yeah.
again. And we do like some collaborations with people like Scout Books in America, and so we made a kind of custom notebook for newspaper club that's kind of mocked up like a kind of wee tabloid newspaper.
Hmm.
And then over the years we experimented with different types of photography, so we did lots of kind of flat lay stuff, playing with boxes, and started to bring in some people just to kind of show the kind of real size and format of the
Hmm.
papers. And this was also when we started doing this. This is when we started to maybe move slightly away from just CMYK all the time for the color palette because well, as bright and poppy, it can kind of start to get a bit fatigued with all that.
And I think it's hard to balance it sometimes. We want to celebrate our customers' work in their newspapers, and sometimes if you've got that, you're only ever looking for that color palette or something that balances with that, it can be quite
Yeah,
stark.
it's about knowing when to like put Newspaper Club in the forefront and when to take a
Hmm.
step back and let the kind of your clients or your customers stuff take the forefront. So we started to do things with this. I mean, a simple way of just like sampling the color from one of the papers in the photography, and that became the kind of the background color.
Hmm. Exactly. Um, Way back in 2017, which feels like an absolute lifetime ago, when I was working freelance for Newspaper Club, one of the things that we spent a lot of time thinking about was instead of newspaper club just having their audience. It was like, who are those customers and what did they want from their newspapers? How would they be using them? And we spent a lot of time kind of grouping them into key categories and really thinking about who they were. And that was, everything from design students, independent retailers, and kind of hobbyists maybe looking to create wedding invitations. So that was kind of our brief at that time was we went away and did some photography that started to just really put those customers at the center of it, thinking about how and where they might use it. And then that was when we were kind of experimenting with meta ads. It wasn't meta then, it was Facebook
Facebook, yeah.
ads at the time. And worked with D8 then to kind of create these social media campaigns, really focusing in on those customers. And it's so interesting. So I didn't know this until like this week when we were talking about it, just what an impact that piece of work did. So while at the moment I'm kind of sitting on the brand side, but from a agency perspective, it's so interesting to understand the long-term impact of the work. You might only be there for a year, but then we left and then you guys started to work on these new samples. And
Yeah.
that impact of that work was that you started to then think about these samples and these customers within that. Is that right?
Yeah, so like basically, I mean, at this point, these are 5 years old, these samples, and they're really cool. They really develop the brand, but compared to a lot of the kind of customers' work that were shown in the social campaigns, they were starting to feel maybe a wee bit dated.
Mm.
And it was also a lot of kind of repeated information across them. You kind of see here, there's the same information on different spreads and different sizes, and that was because back then you could just order a mini or just a tabloid or just a broadsheet. But what the team at User Copper noticed was 9 times out of 10, people would just order a whole
Yeah,
pack.
they went everything.
Yeah, it's free. We'll take it all.
Yeah.
So we thought there's a probably a chance to kind of do more with the samples off the back of that.
Oh, sorry. Go
That's
back.
what I was actually showing you. Like, there's all stuff we repeated. It
Yeah.
was like it was a lot of redundancy. And so again, U Super Club kind of figured it out themselves already. They came to us saying like, we want to do our new samples like a weekend broadsheet with all the supplements. So you've got your sports supplement, your finance supplement, your culture supplement. And we thought, and that's exciting for me because that means I get to design
Yeah.
a newspaper in like 10 different magazines. That never happens because almost all my work is like digital stuff, like for screens. And this is like a graphic design dream job. So I was very excited to get stuck in.
And we're very lucky actually to have a designer like you, and just gonna big you up,
Yeah.
but that can do that, that can like take on our briefs, doesn't mind that we come with kind of very very specific and also yet vague ideas, and has that experience in digital and design that can kind of in digital and in print that and it just works. It's not like you don't just need to hire a print designer. We know and trust that he's going to create something wonderful and just get it every single time. So it's really we're really lucky.
I'm really lucky.
Oh.
And this is what the sample packs ended up looking like. So it was really a better way to reflect all the different possibilities in newsprint. And it kind of came, like we're saying, it kind of came naturally after years of kind of iteration of the brand. We kind of, at this point, we'd done lots of different ads for different publications and some stuff on social. We developed a website a wee bit more, so we had a whole kind of suite of like different graphic assets and styles that we could really go to town with in here.
hmm
And each sample pack had like all 3 sizes. So the broadsheet was still the kind of lead format, the lead sample anyway. It was like it kind of introduced you to Newspaper Club, and this is when it leans into the kind of newspaper aesthetic the most. It would have the kind of basic intro to like tell what different sizes are. And in the back page, we give a wee bit more detail about like the kind of environmental credentials about how they print and the paper they
Yeah,
use. And also some classic newspaper stuff like wee ads and a crossword.
gotta have a crossword.
Yeah. And then the tabloids basically became the way we kind of showcase all the different paper stock. So your kind of standard newsprint, your kind of slightly nicer newsprint, your salmon
Yeah,
papers, your bright white papers. And each one of these was like themed in a different way. So it'd be like a kind of art mag or a sports magazine or a culture thing. And inside those you would have like case studies of papers that were printed on that same stock. So You
Yeah.
get a real sense of like, oh, this is the kind of paper you print on this stock, this is the kind of thing you do in this stock. And also we'd also find a way to kind of crowbar a wee Russell cameo in them also. But we're starting to kind of lean a wee bit less on Russell being like massive and in
Oops.
front of everyone all the time, and but he's still always there. So he's on the tennis ball, he's a bit of graffiti, he's a bit of
Yeah,
art
you
kind
got
of
to
guy.
find them. It's kind of like a challenge to go and
Yeah, it's
find a
like
wee
where's
thing.
Russell? We're gonna
Where's
do it.
Russell?
We should do a where's Russell paper.
Yeah, we should. Um, yeah, and the only thing that kind of stayed the same is the kind of reference sheets, and that just allows our customers to kind of just get a sense of, you know, how it's replicated, you know, the actual difference of what it was going to look like when they print it. You know, they can see how these colors work, what the photography looks like, because particularly for our photography clients, it's really important that their images are going to come out clear as possible. And so that's why we try and make sure that these are quite image heavy as well.
Yeah, just want to give a real sense of like how everything reproduces in print. So the
Hmm.
back page of those papers was just like you're saying, it's a reference sheet.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the mini, that took on more of a kind of magazine-inspired design, which felt kind of natural for the format. 'Cause it's the only one that's like trimmed to size and is stapled
Hmm.
and like, yeah, staple stitched. So then that gave us opportunity to just to do some kind of more longer form stuff at the front half. So you'd have kind of some longer case studies and some interviews with customers that went into kind of real depth between like why they chose New Super Club and how they work together. And then the back half of the mini became where all the technical information from was, but it used to be kind of repeated in all the formats. Now this lives in the minis. It tells you how colors work, how your type sizes work, how to set up your artwork.
I think the mini's my favorite of all of them.
Yeah.
And we also do templates. We haven't got into that, but the templates that we have for customers to use have all been designed with a similar idea in mind. And one of them for the mini is so beautiful that it almost looks like just like a customer newspaper. Like you pick it up. And I remember my friend was like, I can't work out who this is for. And I was like, oh, it's just a template for
Yeah,
someone
it's just
to
like a
use
made up
it.
paper. That's all the stuff on Canva.
Yeah, for Canva templates, yeah. But we've kind of taken this sort of care and attention across everything that we do, and I think that's something that in a world where you're kind of encouraged to move really quickly, and I'm really guilty of this, it's really good to kind of take that step back and actually go, okay, why are we doing this? Like, what's the best way that we can get this information across, but also what's the most fun way that we can get this information across? Um, I think it's like a really enjoyable brand to work on for that reason.
Yeah. This is a sample pack, but you want it to feel like something people want to hang on to and enjoy reading through.
Yeah, definitely. And people do really enjoy.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, these are 5 years old now. And people are, you know, picking up these newspapers. We send out a lot of sample packs every month. And it's so lovely to kind of find online. Some of these are photos, but some of these are like just from people receiving their sample packs, and they're just always still want to share it with us. And it's such a delight. And in fact, we had a bit of a we call it the journal epidemic of 2025, where people loved our sample packs so much that they were all by ordering them and cutting them up and sticking them in their scrapbooks. And we're like, oh no, there's just so many of these sample packs going out. But it's been really interesting just to see the love and like enduring love that people have for these. Um, it's quite nice to see them going out into the world,
Yeah.
even if it's to get cut up and put in a scrapbook.
It's not good for my ego management to see people sharing them on your social. Yeah, I get to like see something I worked on years ago and people still have to share it. Like, it's quite good for me, but well, or not good for me.
Not good for you. Um, yeah, so kind of over the years,
Back here, yeah,
as
the
I'm just
brand,
going
that's
on.
the brand guys in. So yeah, it's time to kind of that's at this point I felt like it was like time to collate everything we've done so far. So like this point, this is like what 3 years ago. So
Mhm.
like 7 or 8 years into working together, we'd never made a set of brand guidelines, which seems like kind of crazy, but I felt like at time because we'd done so much design work, we'd really kind of figured out this is what the brand is, this is what it looks like. We'd tried stuff through the years and different things, and some things would stick and some things wouldn't stick. And
Yeah,
then at the same time, like Anne and Sarah and
yeah.
people have been doing loads of newsletters and blog posts.
Yeah, so like our brand and community manager, Sarah, alongside the bold direction of our CEO, Anne, are really the voice of Newspaper Club. And so it's always kind of been, you know, between them. and it's getting to the point where we were bringing in, like maybe external agencies to help us with doing ads, or whether it was people doing, emails for us, or, at any stage, just where we were bringing people just to kind of help us out. There was no kind of clear guidelines for them to work with. But with Newspaper Club, we have such a strong sense of brand that it's really important that people had that. So that's when we started to work on sort of pulling these together into sort of brand guidelines. And of course, it gives an excuse to make it into a mini.
Yeah, I
I
felt
say
like
us, I wasn't involved.
no, but I felt like, well, what else are we going to do? It needs to be a printed thing. So we chose the mini format because I felt like a nice wee kind of keepsake and created the brand guising. And I mean, this is probably the most design talk part of design talk. It's just like it's a bit set of brand guidelines. It's
Yeah.
like it tells you what the fonts are, it
Yeah.
tells you what the colors are.
But it
But
is a culmination of all that work that's
yeah,
kind of gone in over these years. It's not just something that it didn't start here, which is maybe unusual, where you kind of in my previous work, I was working with people that just started up their business, and this is where I would start. I would start with their brand guidelines. I'd start with their tone of voice. I'd start with all these things. So it's really interesting and lovely to see this is all kind of naturally and organically grown to this point. And then we're saying, okay, now here, this is where we are. It's like a statement of
yeah.
achievement.
I don't think there's never a point where we needed them over the years just because it was always us working together. So we had that kind of intrinsic knowledge of what the brand is. But like you're saying, once you start to kind of bring in more people to work with us, I
Yeah.
was like, we need to kind of make it easier for other people to kind of get into the new Super Club kind of mindset.
And what I love about it, because it's printed and it's physical, we all use it all the time. All the time. I see us like when we think about something, whether it's writing an email, whether it's doing a little tiny piece of design work for an ad or something like that, we bring out that brand scene and you physically use it. And we're all like, maybe on even on Zoom or whatever, we all bring them out, we all have a look, find our reference points, and then kind of move with that. And I think it's great to see them actually being used and not just as
Yeah,
a
that's much more fun to refer back to
vanity.
rather than just another PDF you've got to like
Yeah,
find on your server.
yeah, exactly. And then that kind of brings us neatly sort of to where we were. So we have got, two sets of print
Yeah, different
samples,
place.
multiple social campaigns, brand guiding, and then it sort of brings us to where I joined last year. And what we really felt like as a team was that we just wanted to make that next um, step out. So we have incredible customers, really loyal customers who come back again and again and again. We have wonderful reviews in Trustpilot because they really trust us. But what we wanted to do is kind of do a bit more of a brand awareness thing this year. We wanted to, um, we kind of like floated the idea of how do we reach our top or sorry, our creative customers in the UK within our top cities. We kind of highlighted that like Birmingham was really good, big city for us, Manchester, Cardiff, London, and Brighton and Glasgow. Did I say Glasgow? Um, they were kind of our top cities. Um, so we thought, why don't we do something that's kind of a bit unusual in that we'll do a kind of print campaign that's with billboards. We'll do billboards all around those cities, but we'll also have this opportunity to launch our own publication. So we had a kiosk in London where we had our own newspaper, which we'll show you. That was kind of like a starting point of like, what can we do to kind of get Newspaper Club in front of more people again in that fun, bold way that we've kind of created.
Yeah, and at the start of that, what we did was we thought, well, we've got all this kind of back catalogue of photo shoots, like maybe we can build upon that or use that again. And it
Yeah.
does look good, but this was one of a few of the first concepts, like
Yeah.
maybe this is what the billboards would look like. But
And basically, this sparked something for us, really, didn't it? It kind of, at the same time, we've been developing how our Instagram and our social content looked. We kind of were taking a step away from this flatly colored background feel into something that was a bit more tangible, a bit more
yeah,
real, a bit more, something that people could relate to. And I think like, one of the things you said, it feels like this is like quite an easy the flat lay style was kind of losing its impact because it's quite easy to replicate.
Yeah, there's so many mock-up libraries now, and it's really handy when you're building like pitches and presentations to mock up all your design work. But it means when you take like actual photographs of stuff like this, just with like a mock-up now, and you want something that feels like no, this want it to feel like this is a real thing because
Yeah.
Newspaper Club make real things.
Yeah. Exactly, with for real people, and it just starts. We just re realized that we wanted to have something that had hands and people in, and it kind of helped us kind of take a step forward. And you can kind of see that this is the first photo shoot that we did this year that we involved stylists. We worked with Hex Studio. We did we had outfits styled and mood boards where people had all the colours of the brand on there, and we matched them with the newspapers. It was just a huge step forward for us to kind of show off that tactile quality of the newspapers. And it was just a really exciting thing for us to do, and you can see some of them examples here. And in fact, two of our customers are featured here. We'd already partnered with Super Mundane earlier in the year. Um, we're working with loads of exciting new partners at the moment and allowing them to set their own brief. And he was one of those partners that we worked with, and it's just been so fun. So it kind of felt quite natural to have Rob join us for the shoot. And then Sophie in the lovely green outfit um, is also a textile designer who prints an annual catalogue with us. She brought her own cushion with her. That's her lovely
Nice
cushion.
enough.
Yeah, that's her own cushion to the shoot. And it's just so nice to kind of have their work featured. And then these were in turn brought by Ewan into these massive billboards that really took over the streets. Um, I think what I just loved about it is it just feels like Newspaper Club. Even though we've taken a step forward with the photography, it was just it still feels really strongly us. It's bright, it's bold, it's eye-catching. And it really kind of gets the point across about the newspaper. And then Ewan created the red poster here, which I love to talk about because I feel like that's just another example of us pushing the brand as those stickers were a new development for us. We'd used
Yeah.
stickers in the past, but not like that, I don't think.
No, just there's always like roundos and those kind of flashy and stuff like let's do something more. And the whole point of that one was more just to talk about like it's called Newspaper Club, but if you're this is the first time you see it, you want to make people understand it's Newspaper Club, but you can print kind of anything you want. So it can be a newspaper, it can be an event guide, a zine, your portfolio, your some posters, a catalogue, a menu, a wedding invite, whatever you want it to be. And that just felt like a kind of nice way to add a wee kind of break in the kind of photography billboard
Yeah.
posters and add a wee kind of flash of this poppy colour.
And what the other thing about this is the process that led us to this was very simple. I feel like the it was a really easy decision that we made. I said to you, and we wanted to do billboards. Ewan came back with those mock-ups. We decided they weren't what we wanted in terms of the photography. We went and did the photography, came back, and then you made this, and then we were done. Like it wasn't, it didn't ever feel like it was a long process. It was
No,
quite
I
simple.
think whenever we want stuff together, we kind of, as soon as you've spoke for a few minutes, you kind of know what you kind of, I can see in my head, I think you're probably the same, that you
Mhm.
know what it should
Yeah,
be.
yeah. We knew what we wanted. And then these were in Manchester, Cardiff, and Brighton, each one kind of bright and bold. And this is the News and Coffee, which is the kiosk that we took over at Holborn Station, which was where we launched our own publication. This is like an annual publication that we've worked on, and it's filled with it's printed on our tabloid. It's filled with interviews with brands, designers, and artists. Um, it's got conversations with people like Papier's head of brand on storytelling through print. So it's not just like talking about what they've printed, it's about what they see the future of print being. It's about exploring typography and how they've told that story through newsprint, and then just it's not only a bit of a brand piece for us, but it is actually a really interesting thing to look at and read and enjoy. That's not just some sort of salesy, I think, not some sort of
Yeah, I
salesy.
think it's something I think we would like to do more of this kind of thing in the samples before, like more interviews with people, but there's always space to go fill with like the technical stuff that customers need to know. So it felt really cool to just really tell these really cool stories about like great things that used
Yeah,
to become printed.
yeah, and so you mocked all this up for us, and you can mocked it, created all this for us. Sorry, Ewan. And you can see, we've got like kind of bright, bold things in there with we've got a poster, we had the notes from the editor, we have um, the classifieds on the back, which is just really fun. And it's just kind of trying to find all these ways to kind of keep that newspaper element throughout. And
Yeah,
we've
Eve,
had,
I
oh,
say like
sorry.
things that they classified. That's another one. I think Sarah, is that Sarah's
Oh
job?
yeah,
Yeah.
so Sarah wrote all of it was Sarah's idea to do them, and then she wrote all of them. And I mean, it's just I just feel like she's got a secret calling of writing these like classified ads. It just makes
Yeah.
me laugh. Sarah's an excellent copywriter, so it's
Mm.
always great to just see her kind of have the space and creativity to kind of run with these things. Um,
And another thing I liked about
oh
this as well,
sorry.
so I just they kind of like localized versions of it. So like some of
Yeah.
the like we did the version from Birmingham Design Festival and took one of the interviews out and put a new interview with like is it Luke Tong, his name?
Yeah, Luke, he runs the festival there, so we did a Birmingham focus there. We've got Phoebe in Scotland, and we have other ones that we can kind of chop and change. So if we do take this to any events this year, we can put in a new interview in there, and we can kind of have
Yeah,
that
just make it
flexibility.
like localize it for people. It's like quite then show how someone who's from their same scene in their same city has like used Newspaper Club to make it kind of feel like
Yeah,
something they can
relevant.
get involved into.
Exactly. And so this is where we've got to this year. I can't believe how much we've managed to do in the last 6 months, and we're not done either. We have another six jam-packed 6 months of coming ahead of us. I'm looking at it. So we've
Yeah.
got a new typeface.
Yeah, we're developing a new kind of bespoke variable typeface that can stretch from like really skinny to really wide and really light to really heavy for Newspaper Club, which is gonna be really fun to play with once it's finished.
And we've got a new newspaper format to add to our lineup very soon, which means new samples.
Yeah, it means I get to design some new samples again, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, but don't tell those journalers, please. We've been working also on some a website refresh as well, so that's coming soon. So, there's just all these little things that will then push this way of working and the way that we have developed our brand further and further and further. And it's just really exciting to think about what's next. Um, so thanks very much. And if you have any questions, we can chat. Sorry, I just realised that we've chatted for a really long time. It
Yeah, I
was
don't know how
lovely.
long.